Let's just start by explaining the mechanism. How does this work?
So it's pretty simple. You know, if you've known Turo, you know that we offer car rentals now for many years. Typically, our car rental trips were a few days at a time, typically for travel. Now you can actually book a car for multiple months at a time, and you pay on a monthly basis, as if you're paying a monthly lease or a monthly financing repayment on a monthly basis. But there's no upfront commitment. So there's no
money down.
Money down. Yeah, there's no deposit. There's no commitment for an extended period of time. You can sign up for 1 month and extend for another few months, or you can sign up for 3 months and extend or reduce.
Okay, but here's the disconnect, Andre. I know it is a peer platform. In other words, the cars on Turo are owned either by individuals or, as you and I have discussed, people that have made a business of having a small fleet of vehicles. How does that tension work of somebody saying, okay, here's my car, I'm going to rent it out for a few months?
Well, there's a lot of people on Turo, as you mentioned, that are now professional hosts who are running a business on top of our platform, and they're really interested in getting maximum utilization for their vehicles. And they're also able to acquire vehicles from their neighbors and from their friends and from their family members. We call them co-hosts. So it's not just their own cars. Typically, these power hosts, as we call them, they have a few cars of their own, but their actually fleet size is much larger because they are co-hosts for many other car owners who've given them their car so that they can monetize them on their behalf. And so these hosts are looking for ways to maximize their utilization. So they're very excited about the launch of monthly because it enables multi-months of utilization in one trip instead of having lots of different trips on a monthly basis.
Who sets the price?
Our hosts set the price. So we actually guide them to provide the most effective price. So we give them recommendations on pricing. And we find that many of our hosts are following our recommendations. For this launch, we have dramatically lowered our monetization. So now our trip fees are down to 0 on monthly trips. So
what's in it for you then in the long run?
Well, we're actually monetizing our trips only on the host side and with the sale of protection. So there are 3 ways we monetize our trips. We've got our trip fee, our protection fee, and then our host fees. We've kept the host fee, we've kept the protection fee, but we've zeroed out our trip fee because we want to make sure that these monthly rentals are as affordable as possible.
In the time that I've known you, you've always been directed by data and evidence. What do you see about the future of car ownership? The threat that I see to Turo has been what Tesla proposes to do, right? Operate a robo-taxi fleet where Tesla owners can submit their car to participate in a robo-taxi fleet. Existentially, there's a lot of car ownership questions.
A lot of car ownership questions. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, while car sales are resilient, they're still down from their peak. And we've never recovered from the peak of 2017 when we hit 17.5 million vehicles sold in the country. And I believe that we've really reached peak car. We're never going to go back to 17.5 or 18 or larger numbers because people are looking at different ways to access cars. And we believe that Turo has a big role to play now that we've expanded our product offering to attack a much larger TAM. The car ownership TAM is $1 trillion, whereas the car rental TAM is only $100 billion. So we're pretty excited about this launch.
Andre, you and I have a tradition. It's where I ask you about IPO. And given that circumstances have changed on and off over the last year, what's the latest thinking?
The latest thinking is we still don't think it's the right time for us. We're taking a lot of big decisions internally to retool some parts of the business. We're excited about this launch. As I mentioned, we think it expands our opportunity in a much larger market. We think that's going to help accelerate our growth and profitability. So we look forward to be back and talking about the IPO at some point in time.